Hello, everybody.
Welcome back to Glitter Gel Pen.
Episode 2. I'm Jill.
And I'm Alyssa.
And we got some hot stuff to get into today.
We, right before we started recording this, were watching BFFs where they were finally discussing Bri and Zach. And it's way worse than I thought it was.
It is so much tea, so much to get into.
I'm just like in shock at everything that they said, and we'll kind of like break it down and get into it. Do you want to start with our normal? Like we've done this a million times.
Yeah, really.
But like our treats of the week and how we're doing, or do you want to?
Listen, I think we can talk about our treats of the week, but I don't think anybody came here to care about how we're doing today because I think everybody really wants to know about Bri.
I just like, I'm kind of just like in shock. We went to Sonic and we got their holiday sodas.
It's actually, it grew on me. The Sonic butter brew?
The buttery brew or something.
Yeah.
I got the sugar cookie Dr. Pepper, and it's kind of, I drank it also.
Does it taste like normal Dr. Pepper?
No. It's like, it does have like a caramelly, like, it's like a less sweet version, I feel like, of what you're drinking.
Okay, so less buttery.
Yeah, less buttery.
This, let me tell you, if you haven't had it, but you like the butterbeer from Harry Potter World, like at Disney, or is it Disney that does that? Universal,
yeah.
Yeah, from Universal, then like...
It tastes just like it.
Yeah, it's real buttery. Heavy on the butter, no beer.
Well, cool. Okay. Well, I guess like starting off.
So it started off basically with Brianna. You know, she was talking about in the video by herself from last week that was unaired. She was talking about Zach and their breakup. She says that he emotionally abused her and that she's scared to talk about this because she doesn't want to make him mad.
Yeah, and he offered her a large amount of money, $12 million,
yes,
to sign an NDA. But I'm like, he should have asked her to sign that before he cheated on her and posted that they were broken up on the internet.
And maybe before he made Araya as well.
Yeah, it just like doesn't make any sense.
So when she's starting out talking about this, she says that she's blaming herself for showing up for him when she shouldn't have because she went on tour with him for a whole year. She dropped everything that she was doing, isolated herself from her friends and her family.
Yeah, and just like what we were talking about last week, like there's been all of this like controversy about her podcast with her best friend where they were saying that she's like been treating her best friend bad and there's no chemistry on the podcast. But when in reality, like now you know the full story and like what's going on behind the scenes, and it's like it wasn't like obviously like it was on Bri for that, but like there was more to it and there was just like more going on.
Yeah, and it was like when you're at the hands of like a narcissistic abuser, I mean, a lot of the time too, you don't even see it yourself.
No, and it's
for
like
a while. So
she sees it as like she loved him and cared about him, and she was just trying to like make him happy. And like anyone that judges her for that, it's like, have you ever had your favorite musician walk up to you and ask to have children with you and like
buy you a house,
take
you on tour,
give you a life, like, and all of these things? But like I'm really glad that she didn't take the money so that she could like just put the word out about it, because it does seem like he has like a pattern with women where he like is doing this like over and over again
and then just pays them off.
The Golden Globes also was crazy. She went to the Golden Globes. I remember when she went to the Golden Globes, and I'm telling you, I pay way too much attention to this stuff, and I really do know them. Like I know I don't know them, but I know them.
Yeah.
And like, and I know I'm saying that from like a fan's perspective. Like I don't feel like I know people that I don't really like even though I know a lot about them. I don't know. I just like something with them. I just feel like they're real and they're authentic to who they are on their podcast. That's why I always liked them. So you just like know. I know.
Listen, when you like somebody on a podcast, the parasocial relationship is real.
And like you are listening to them talk every week. Like you do know them. You might not personally know them, but
they don't know. No, the thing is that they don't know you, but you do know them. Yes. They tell you stories about their life that you know
and
things.
It's like, it is so weird. But anyway, so she went to the Golden Globes. She took Grace, her best friend, and she posted a photo, and like Bri has like had a boob job and like has gotten a nose job in the last couple of years, but she's really open about it and whatever, like who cares? And so she wants to show off her boobs that she paid money for, and with the money that she made from the songs that she wrote in her house. She can do that.
If you know where that is from, you know.
So she posted like photos of herself at the Golden Globes and was having a good time. And then like he acted like he was like excited about it, like reshared her photo on his story and was like, "You're so gorgeous," and all of these things. And then like said that she was bad for his image and that he can't date a girl that perceives her or like puts herself out there like that. And he unfollowed like the podcast and all of these things. And it's like, I can completely remember people making me feel like that in the past. Like, you are having a great time and you're enjoying something in your life for yourself.
Everything.
And it gets ruined by someone just being like mad about something so that you never even thought about.
Like, they just want to be mad and they want to make you feel bad. And so that seems to be the case that we're learning here with the Zach and Bree situation, because he also wanted to control her, take that very last step and control her by offering her double what Dave Portnoy was offering her to do, you know, the BFFs podcast. And he wanted to offer her double just so that she would not work and wouldn't do it.
Yeah, so she would stay home and not work at all. And it's like, you met her because she is successful and like independent. That doesn't make any sense. And like she said that he like asked her after the whole Golden Globes thing happened that he wanted to go through her Instagram and delete any pictures that weren't what he wanted his girlfriend to like. Like, gross.
Tomato, we hate it.
And it's like, no wonder they offered her $12 million to like not say anything.
I hate men, and even worse, I hate men with a lot of money.
It's also like throughout all of this, also what's been happening this week is that Dave Portnoy and Josh Richards, who are why are you looking at my hand?
Because you were flipping it.
I am flipping it.
You were just being a little you know?
These nails, I like don't know who I am.
You're like, Dave was giving it all.
Well, okay. Stop, Jill. Stop. Oh. Okay. Okay, so even on BFFs, there's Josh Richards and Dave Portnoy, and they made a diss track about Zach this week and released it. It was obviously a joke, but also like he hurt her publicly, so I feel like there's nothing wrong with them like dragging him as her friends.
Especially they're her friends, and they're also the hosts of a gossip podcast.
Yes, it's funny, and they would have done it about anyone. Like, that's not the first diss track either of them have made about someone. And so the funny part was Josh Richards released a diss track about Lil Huddy. I don't know if you know who these people are.
Yeah, we pretended to be him back in the TikTok days.
Yeah. Okay, good. So he made a diss track about Lil Huddy years ago, but like Josh never planned. Please quit looking at my hands. You're distracting me.
I'm just looking.
Okay. And so whenever he put that diss track out, Warner Music Group, or whatever the name of their company is, they bought Josh Richards' song and basically any music that he would create in the future. Come to find out, they also own Zach Bryan's music. So Josh didn't think about that, and him and Dave released this diss track about Zach Bryan, and it keeps getting removed because Zach is also under Warner Music, and so they have full control over Josh's music, and they're making their other artists look bad, so that's why the video keeps getting taken down.
That makes sense. I didn't know why, but that really makes sense to me, because like they don't want, it's like a contraindication or whatever.
Yes.
Big words. Woohoo! So, anyways, on to when they did break up and Zach tried to offer her $12 million to sign an NDA.
Would you take it?
Okay.
Wait, I think it's different for her too, because like she has a brand and like something, she has a platform to stand on.
Yeah, like goes back to last week when I said it's a lot harder of a discussion when you're someone who doesn't have a lot of money in the first place.
Yeah.
Which I also want to point out is probably why the other exes of Zach did take that hush money.
No judgment.
Yeah, no judgment. I mean, you got to do what you got to do sometimes, and sometimes that money that is life-changing when you're not someone who already had a platform really makes a difference in someone's life. So that also being said is why Bree says that it was a moral battle, as her family didn't come from money and they wanted her to take the money.
Yeah. It's also like Bree specifically, like looking at her brand, her thing is that she's always been honest and authentic to stuff. And she's on a gossip podcast, and she has a personal podcast where she talks about herself and her own struggles. And like for her to have taken this money and then not said anything about about this ever, her career would have never recovered from that.
Yeah, it would have been really weird.
And no one would have ever quit commenting or asking her about it or thinking that she's a snake or that she's covering up something. And like, but she also couldn't tell them that she took the money.
And so basically what this hush money would have been was for 3 years, she wouldn't be able to talk about it. And at the end of that 3 years, she would get the lump sum of money. And then I guess at that point, like, since you take the money and run, she could talk about it then, I would imagine.
I bet she wouldn't have been able to. I bet the NDA was like ongoing, but she was going to get the money over the course of 3 years.
Okay. Other parts of it, she said they were going back and forth for a while with the money. She said they offered her like $5 million, then they offered her $10 million. They were offering her a house and like a New York apartment, and then it got to $12 million. And it's like she said that the moment that she noticed that she didn't want to take the money was when she was sitting on the back porch of the house that he bought her next to her family.
Like, that is what blows my mind. He bought a home next to her family.
Crazy.
Money makes people like, I don't know.
I hate men with money. I hate it.
I know.
Because it's so manipulative. Like, you know that you're buying a house for this girl, and that in your mind you think like, oh, I have her now. Like, I'm gonna get to do anything I want, and it doesn't matter. Like, because I have money.
Bree's whole brand was that she was like, not so much in the last like couple of years, I think she's just maturing, but like her brand was that she's like a party girl. Like, she missed out on Brat Summer because of Zach Bryan. And like, Brat Summer was made for her and Grace.
Yeah.
And like, her and Grace probably didn't even hang out that much because he sucks. That makes me mad for her.
She's gonna have a Brat winter, a Brat spring,
a broad.
She's gonna have a brawl. And then I thought it was really interesting listening to the podcast, the Tell All podcast, because Dave said that if she took the money, he was going to be done with BFF's podcast.
Yeah. So that, I've been watching that podcast since it first started, and I've never like had any other creators that I've like watched them from literally the first episode. I love Dave Portnoy. I'm obsessed with him. I think like, I just like a lot of the way that he handles his business and like how he's just authentic as well. And I just feel like he's like unapologetically himself. And like, I've been expecting them to end BFFs because he is nearly 50 years old.
Talking about teenage drama.
Like TikTok drama. Like, back in the day, they used to talk about like Lil Huddy and Addison Rae, like before she was cool Addison. And like, it was crazy that he was doing this. But that was what made the podcast so funny, because he had no idea what was going on. And he was like, what is a Little Huddy or whatever? Like, you know, it was just like so like funny. And then it kind of turned more into like Bree became a bigger deal over the course of this podcast. And then it was like, as Bree was getting bigger, I could see over the last year that like her and Zach were obviously going through something at certain points, and like he would just be a baby and like unfollow the podcast and do something, and like she just wouldn't really have any explanation for it. But like, everyone does that whenever you're dating someone. Like, you're not gonna out them and everything that happened in your relationship.
Because I'm sure by the time she's like on the next podcast, he's already apologized, and she's like, it wasn't anything, like it's fine now, it's good. Like, so then she's definitely not gonna say anything.
Yeah, but like, if they would have quit the podcast and Bree would have never spoke about this, it would have been the biggest cliffhanger of my life. And I know that sounds so stupid and dramatic, but like, I love her and I love Dave Portnoy, and like, Josh is fine. Like, I have no feelings towards him. Like, but he's like a good addition. He's just not my character. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what Dave was saying, is that they would have basically had to have quit the BFFs
they
podcast.
Would have had to.
Because he said, we're a gossip podcast and we can't have this happen with one of our own and just not discuss anything about it. Yeah. Like, which I definitely agree.
Yeah, so. Like, that's what I was thinking as they were talking about her like taking the money, like before he said that they were talking about ending the podcast in December anyway. And honestly, like, we haven't even listened to BFFs all the way through. They might be getting through that episode and being like, and we're done. Because I mean, I don't know, I could just see like, and that might not be the case, we didn't finish the episode, but like, I'm just saying, like, I've just felt like the end of that whole thing is near, because everybody kind of has their own platforms. My one thought with it is that Bree over the last year has gotten so much negative things thrown at her, and now to know that she was dealing with all of this stuff behind the scenes too, like I just hope that this gives her, like, to the public's eye, like some kind of like grace to like, we're people, and she's in her 20s, and like she's not doing anything that like we wouldn't do, and or that any average like person would do. Like she said, I'm just a girl. Like Zach Bryan got his, like, her tattooed on him like a few days after they went on a date. She's like, I'm just a girl.
Yeah, she's like, I got tattoos to remove. I'm just a girl. Like, we're all just girlies here. Yeah. So definitely a wild turn of events for that, because like I said before last week, all I had heard was, you know, about like you lose them how you get them. Yeah, you lose them how you get them.
But they even said on this episode, like, she disproved that a long time ago, which is what we were saying last week, because that is just all made up and just something that's been speculated, because like we've gotten further away from when they started dating and stuff. But it's just none of that was true, and I just feel bad for her for everything getting piled on. Like, I just hope that I hope that this goes and keeps going in the direction of like, go Brie, like screw Zach, because I just like, I'm not sure how much more she could take of like getting beaten down the way that she has.
I honestly think that this will be like a turnaround for her.
I hope so.
Like, I think that people will realize now, who have been like kind of talking shit about her and stuff. I think that they'll see this and realize she was going through narcissistic abuse and being isolated and
I hope
manipulated.
That like her and Grace like sit down and like have a talk, like not even on the podcast, just like have that moment where you're like, I'm sorry I dated this dude that sucked, and it like sucked everything out of me, because every girl has like gone through a moment where they date someone that sucks them away from all their friends. Yeah. And like none of their friends like them, like the person they're with and stuff, and it like causes friendship issues, and like that guy might not be there forever, but your friends are, and it's like everyone goes through that. And like the thing about being a girl, I feel like, especially like, I don't know if it's just us getting older and realizing it, but like we really have to be like open arms to when like your friends do that, because it just happens, and you have to just like let it go and let them like come back to you. Yeah, like you gotta like, it's like you can disagree with what they're doing or not, or think they're making a dumb decision or something, but it's like ultimately you're gonna be there for them, and so when they come back and need anything after something like that happens, it's not gonna be like, I told you so. It's gonna be like, it's okay. It's like, okay. Like, I've been there. Yeah. So I'm just like manifesting currently that her and Grace have the biggest heart to heart now that Brie is back in New York City, or she will be soon, I think is what she said. I don't know. I'm just hoping that they have like a heart to heart and everything just comes back, and then she just gets her life back to normal and she's like better for it all. But yeah, I think we love to see it also, that this breakup is going to like skyrocket her even more. That's what I'm thinking, and I'm calling that for her. So, and I'll say, like, I used to listen to Zach Bryan's like bigger songs like back in like 2020, but like I only listened to his new music because of her. I listened to her podcast, and like she like really liked some of his newer music, and I never even cared about it or cared to listen to it. But whenever I saw that she started dating him, I started listening to his music again, because I was like, oh, that's cool. So like he just lost a Spotify streamer. Yeah. Like one. So take that with your $12 million. He released a breakup song last night at midnight. And it's basically Anti-Hero by Taylor Swift, Zach Bryan edition. Okay. He's Zach's like, version. Yeah. We hate it. Yeah. Where he's just like, I'm so sorry that I couldn't give you what you wanted. He's like, I mean, that's not really what he's saying, but it's basically along the lines like, and he's like, I just gotta pray to God so I can not be mean to people. And like... I think that you should just show up at his next concert. You replace him on stage. Yeah. Nobody will know. No. He's so gross. And like, it's funny because like he's not like an ugly guy by any means, but like now he really, like, when I see photos of him, I'm like, ew. Yeah. I literally didn't even remember what he looked like till we started discussing all of this stuff, and I had to look at his little face again. The smallest man. So does that sum up everything that we wanted to say about that? I might think of something as we keep going, but I think that sums up everything we wanted to say and that we had to say about the newest
podcast that just got released.
I'm sure the story will keep unfolding. It just definitely wasn't what I expected it to be at all. And like, I do hope that like girls will listen in some way to like what is going on, because even though all of this negative stuff is out about him, if he goes up to some girl in a bar and he's Zach Bryan, it's gonna be like swoon. You know, that's just like the reality. And it's like, oh well, hopefully he just quits using his power and like does something right.
Hopefully he just quits using his power for evil, and maybe he'll hit on a girl and the girl will just
be like, ooh.
Yeah, I'd love that. I'd love to see that. I would pay to see that more than I would pay for his concert.
I know that I don't think you listen to their podcast as much, but like if he were to go up to a girl at the bar, and then this is something Brie and Grace say at their shows, Nika, where my dogs at?
I have to remember that one for one day when Zach walks up to me at a bar.
So, yeah, I guess it's summing up all of that, but I did want to, like, circle back to the topics that we talked about last week and just, like, update on things that we were discussing. And I don't remember if it was my hot take or if it was just part of the stories, but kind of just touching back on the topics that we discussed last week. Did you see that Trisha discussed Zayn and Heath again?
Yeah.
Okay, so the big news this week is involving, like, David Dobrik and Casey Neistat. We'll get into that in a second. But Zayn and Heath went into this haunted house and they took some people with them. I don't know. But it's one of the haunted houses where like you sign a waiver and they like touch you and like do things to you and like it's like torture basically.
What do you think about that while we're on that topic? Would
never.
You would never do that?
I would I barely can go into the ones where they can't touch you.
Same. I'll go with like just one other person and I'm like, I can't be in the front or the back. And it's like, bitch, with two people, saddle up because you gotta. So,
like,
you know.
I know that it's not real, but I am afraid of stuff like that. Like, I don't like tight spaces. I don't like the dark. I don't like walking through the dark.
If there's someone who crawls, I will just lay down and die.
There's something about anticipating something jumping out at you that, like, my body can't take it. Like, I'm just like, ah! Like,
it's like the whole time you're up here.
Yeah.
It's like occasionally it'll be like you're at 99 and then occasionally when somebody jumps out, you'll go 110.
Yeah,
and like be freaking.
And I know that's fun to some people to be like on the edge of your seat, but that's not cute to me. Like
I do love to go though. Like I hate it, but I like to go.
I like it.
We just 360'd our opinions like that. We're like, I hate it. Oh my God, it's so scary. Then we're like, I love to go though.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. I just wanted to
the
check
one that
out.
that Zayn and Eve went to, I would never. And here's why. They were filling out their forms to go into the haunted house. And before they were done filling out the forms, they were just standing there like holding the clipboard. This guy tased, I think it was they tased his balls.
No.
And, like, it hurt him. And they started chasing, like, Zayn around. I might have this story really wrong, but, like, that was the general gist of it. But, like, they did it before they even were finished filling out, like, the release form. And who are the two girls that are on the podcast with them? Pretty Unfiltered or...
Remy and
Alicia.
Yeah.
They were like, apparently after the whole taser thing happened, they were like, we're gonna go to the bathroom, and they left.
That would have been me and you.
Yep.
Would have been like, that's like us at the bar going to the bathroom and being like, we'll be back in a second.
I would have never wanted to do that though. Oh, that's so scary. Do you want to keep it lighthearted for a second and talk about Chappel Roan on SNL?
Sure. So you saw Chappel Roan on SNL. What do you think of her new song that she performed?
It's like more country. Country. So I love the look. I like the beat. I really don't like hearing songs for the first time on a live performance. It kind of makes me hate it. So I really have to hear what they're doing. I really like the instrumental. It was just a lot of like live instruments and things, which was cool. But I really am not, and this might be a hot take, I'm not a big like 90s women's country fan.
Yeah, it was kind of giving like
Shania.
Yeah, like that.
And not in a good way to me.
No, because I like Shania, but I think that type of music really is dated. Like you can tell that it's from a certain era in time, and it needs to stay there.
Yeah, no, I don't really like that kind of music, so I was kind of like, but I might hear the final like production of the song and feel differently, but just based on the way that it was performed, and sometimes they do like a more dramatic like instrumental like on SNL and stuff, and maybe that's what it was, but I love when Chappel Roan like talks during a song,
Yeah.
and she's like, "Oh, you country boys say you know how to treat a woman," like that. I just love her, and I loved the wig with the blonde streak. That was really cool. Very like Dolly Parton for some reason.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to hear the live version. I don't know.
You mean the studio version?
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder too, like what this new album of hers is gonna be. Like, is this a one-off?
Well, she never released that Subway song.
Yeah.
Like Subway, she performed it at Gov Ball or something. It was the show, I think, where I don't remember. She like wore like a yellow taxi outfit and played like the Subway song, and she never released that. But that song is also very different from the Giver song.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what is this new album gonna be, and why did you perform that months ago and you haven't released anything?
Yeah. Part of me thinks that this new song may possibly just be like a one-off, because I do like it, the part that you're talking about where she's like that they know how to treat a woman, but women know how to treat women or something, you know? So it's like kind of a stance on being queer, being gay, you know, which I thought that it could, in knowing Chappel, it could be like an FU to like southernness, you know,
it's
by doing a country
like
song that
ironic
way.
that it's country music in a way, because it's like not what country people typically stand for at all.
Yeah.
But I think that also makes it interesting, and it's like a cool art form in a way too.
Yeah, I thought that too. Like, if that's what she's doing, I did think that was like a cool
And
thing.
maybe she just like had like a country version of a song that's gonna be on her album.
Yeah.
Like, cause I do think I'm starting to see like a style of Chappel. Like, I'm only familiar with Midwest Princess. I never listened to any of her stuff that she released before. So it's just like very dramatic music. I don't even know how to put into words like the way that her vibe like comes through in sound. Like, I know that we have the face to her voice to like match it up, but like I can't imagine seeing any other image in my brain than like drag face like Chappel Roan when I hear songs like that.
Yeah.
And that's just like, she's so good at like putting an image on something.
So I'm excited to see the rest of what she does. I am a little worried if she gets any bigger though, because
I know.
of the way that she's been handling fame so far.
Tonight I've never watched the Casual music video, and it had like 10 million views on YouTube, and I was like, this came out less than a year ago. And like, I know 10 million views in a year might not seem like that much, especially whenever we're getting 400 in a day. I'm like,
hey, 11 subscribers.
But I feel like that is, I can't even fathom blowing up that quickly.
But what do you like, also, how do you feel about the way that she's like handled it so far? Because I think like her whole story is that she's been trying to do music for 10 years at this point, and she had a label, like a record deal, and then she got dropped, and then she got picked up again, and like now she had this rise to fame and this blast of fame, and then it's like she hates it. It's like, this, you were trying to do this for 10 years. Like, she says she didn't expect to blow up, but you were trying to for 10 years.
I have like a couple of mixed feelings about it. I think she seems like she's just trying to be authentic and honest, and that I appreciate, because it probably is weird. Like, there's probably parts of people coming up to you where it's really strange. Your fans do, I'm trying to like think of how to word this without it sounding bad, but your fans do have a right to you when they see you in public, and not in a weird or creepy way.
But like, they can ask
they're
you for
never
a picture.
gonna see you walking down the street again.
Yeah, like they can ask you for a picture.
Yes, but I also wonder if the way that I don't think she's faking it in the way whenever she like doesn't want her fans to come up to her, but like the way that she like got mad on social for like political stuff and was like, why do we have to settle for these two as our options? Like, as far as voting on the election and everything, she was like, we could do better than this, and like saying that we have to pick one or the other or a lesser two evils is just not true. I liked and appreciate the way that she was kind of just contrarian in the sense of like this two-party system that we have or whatever, but it was interesting. Like, I feel like her character is like, it's on brand for her to be against the system, and maybe that means that she's not like, when she doesn't have her drag face on, you don't go up to her in public. But I don't know, like, there's never been a Chappel Roan before, and I think that's what's so cool about her.
True.
But what do you think about like her like relationship with fame?
I just think like it's a very complex discussion, because it is like, you are a person, but it's also like, when you're an artist, you yourself are a brand, you know, and it's like, you're a walking billboard. board. So people are going to walk around, and if they like you and they see you, they're going to want to take a picture with you. It's like when people go see the Statue of Liberty. You know, they're never going to see it again.
I see what you did there.
Most of the time, sometimes. But people take pictures of it. People take pictures with it. Like,
but it's inappropriate when you go to Taylor Swift's apartment that's there all the time, 24/7, and you go stand outside of it hoping that she might come out. That is when it's weird.
Yeah, that's when it's weird. There's like weird scenarios, but I don't think that liking an artist, seeing them walking down the street or something, and hoping that they'll take a picture with you is weird. And I don't think that the artist should think that's weird either. So, I mean, it's a complex question because I do believe, like how she's making it seem is that there's been some weird behavior more than just taking a picture like with somebody. And you know, for those scenarios, I do think like she has a right to her privacy and a right to say no. And you can obviously say no to a picture if you want to, but I'm just saying as an artist, I think that you should take a picture if somebody asks.
I also feel like if Chappel Roan, because I feel like Doja Cat did this. Doja Cat like went online and was like, I don't love you, like talking to her fans. She was like, I don't even know you. But like, and like that's almost funny, but it's also like if I don't like Doja Cat, like her concert scared me.
You told me that
like,
it scared you.
It
like when
really
you went.
scared me. Like whenever they started screaming about Christianity and like
and
the lights went dark and there were devils out on the stage and like red capes. I was not vibing. I wanted to go home. And like, so I kind of just like anytime Doja Cat comes on, I kind of just associate her with like that moment. So I just turn it off. But it's like Chappel Roan, if she doesn't want to associate with her fans like on a personal level, she doesn't have to. And like, I'm still gonna listen to her music.
Yeah.
If I saw her, but here's the thing. But now if I saw her out in public, would I ask her for a picture? Probably not, because I wouldn't want to be embarrassed in front of Chappel Roan. But because she's made it weird, I might be like, look, chill, and I like snap a little pic. And it's like now she's got people creepily taking pictures that like aren't gonna say anything to her because like I'm too uncomfortable. Maybe I wouldn't just like sneak a picture. Maybe that was a weird thing to say.
No,
but
I mean we probably would.
I totally would. But like I can accept that I don't have to like her on a personal level for me to like her music.
No, yeah, same. And that's the thing with me, I think. I had a moment where I was obsessed with her. I was watching every interview. I
tried to tell you to listen to her like 30 days earlier. I was like, you've got to press play. You've got to press play on this.
I had heard Red Wine Supernova like just in the car driving before you even like told me to listen to her. And I was like, oh, this is that Chappell Roan that everybody talks about or something. And I was like,
and then you played Pink Pony Club and it's like,
no.
Oh.
I didn't love Red Wine Supernova at first, but I love it now. Like we live for it. But so anyways, yeah, I mean I do, that's where I kind of stand with her, is that I was obsessed with her for a little bit, like watching every interview, wanted to embody Chappell Roan.
But that's what you do when you find a new artist. You like live through that album that you found them in that you love. And that's normal.
And then it switched for me when all this happened with between her talking about this, like not liking the fame, not dealing with the fame well. And then, just between like the few things she's done recently, it's like I'm at that point where I like her music, but I don't love her. Like she kind of, I think that she's just not cut out for this. Like I think she's talented and everything, but I don't think she...
Like, no, I know what you mean. Like, I agree. Listen, y'all. And y'all can listen. This is a joke that I saw online. And it's people like us with our 11 subscribers. I'm saying
I'm cut out for this. I have 11 subscribers.
Saying
Chappell, you're not cut out for this, babe.
Saying she's just not cut out for this.
Oh,
that is good.
Yeah. So, anyways, love her music. Still black.
What's your favorite song?
It depends on the mood. Like if you're in like a sad mood, I really do like Casual. Or like a somber mood, like Casual's good. If I want to feel like a hot, sexy, bad bitch, I like Red Wine Supernova.
In 2025, we have to see her in concert.
Yeah.
Like
right after I say that she's not cut out for this, I'm like, let's go to her concert.
I have to see her live. I have to see it. But she, like, when I really, really was like, God, why am I not going to see her in concert? Or right now, whenever I like realized how much I loved her whole album, she was literally performing in Raleigh that night. And I was like, I'm going to look up concert tickets. And it was, Raleigh is what, 2.5, 3 hours away from us. And like, I wasn't going to make it to the show on time, or I would have went, because it was a general admission show. Tickets were $150. And then I was like, I'm going to see like where else she is on tour, but I didn't think about it till the next day. She was playing in Columbia, South Carolina, which is also like 3 hours away.
Because I remember you were texting me.
I wanted to go.
You were saying we should go.
I saw both of the tickets too late. Like, it was just like, we would have been getting there right as the show started.
Yeah.
But it was like less than $200 to go.
If we would have thought about it being in Columbia the next day, then like we could have both. I know. Both gone, because I could have had time to plan out some childcare, and we could have seen Chappel.
Yeah. But we like have to see her next year.
Yeah.
I need to
if she tours.
I know.
Who knows?
I know.
It was okay between her. It was her with the fans, like the thing with like people asking for pictures and all that kind of stuff, and then it was her canceling the festival.
Oh, don't get me started.
Yeah, that was
not
what
cut
it was.
out for this.
That's when I felt like you're not cut out for this.
Okay.
If you're canceling your show because of like anxiety or mental health or something, like mental health's important.
I get it.
Mental health's important.
So I feel like I've learned a lot, and maybe I know nothing. I feel like I've learned a lot about like the music industry and the way that things operate from listening to the Swiftologist on YouTube and like his Patreon. I'm a paid subscriber to the Swiftologist. But he just has a lot of like insight on like how things run, and he was like, these festivals specifically are booked so far in advance, and like Chappel Roan filled up her 2024 whenever she was still like an aspiring artist, like hoping to blow up. And you go and you tour and you do all these things to like hope that you get bigger, and then she got way bigger than she could have ever imagined. She was dealing with suddenly being wanted on like every interview, every stage, every festival, and her calendar was probably already full, and she was taking on the bigger stuff like SNL, because she's like, you got to do the bigger stuff to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And he was like, you got to like think about that she like filled up her calendar whenever she was small, and now she's bigger, doing bigger things while also trying to do all of these little festivals. And not that I don't agree, because I was gonna go to the Carolina Country Music Festival, and Morgan Wallen like canceled, and I went to the music festival, and at the music festival they announced that he was gonna be there next year, and I was like, I don't care.
Yeah,
I'm not coming back here. I was like, and Morgan Wallen gets drunk and doesn't show up. Morgan Wallen's one to complain about.
Yeah, I don't listen to him at all. I listen to Chappel.
He is problematic, but the whole like, I don't know, it just like put it in perspective for me, and I was like, that does make a lot of sense. But even still, like, she canceled that festival show, like it was like a few days before or something, and like I'm sure there were a lot of people that bought tickets to that only for Chappel, because I know what that felt like whenever I only bought those concert tickets to go see Morgan Wallen, and then he canceled, and then I had booked an Airbnb and done all these things and spent all this money, and like I still had fun, but it was like it wasn't what it could have been.
And it was the few days before for me. I'm like, come on,
you're just not cut out for this.
Yeah, Chappel, you're just not cut out for this. Take it from me. I have 11 whole subscribers, split between another person.
We got 11 subscribers.
Yeah, 5.5 each.
The Casey Neistat is gonna be a little bit of a long one.
Okay.
But I've been trying to like figure out where to start with it, because if you are not familiar, Casey Neistat used to be a YouTuber. Well, I guess he still is a YouTuber. I don't watch his videos anymore because his channel's dead. He made a documentary whenever David Dobrik was big, and he filmed it. He went like back to David Dobrik's hometown, like interviewed. He just did all of this extensive work to create this documentary about David Dobrik and how he was like the best comedian of our time. These are Casey Neistat's words, not mine. And he basically like wanted to just show like what the inner workings were, and he was making it more like high dollar movie, because if you didn't know, Casey Neistat used to like make real movies before he made YouTube videos, which is why his YouTube videos were so good. So he was making this documentary about David Dobrik. And then in the middle of like the documentary, the incident with Jeff Whittick happens, where they were on the excavator and his face got smashed and all that stuff happened and has been unraveling. Well, this documentary was being created, and then not long after the Jeff Whittick incident, Jeff didn't know, but in the documentary, David was blaming Jeff for the incident, even though David was driving the excavator. And what I think a lot of people don't know is that documentary is what but it inspired Jeff to sue David over the whole thing, because I think he was coming up on like how many years it can be before you like sue for something like that. And whenever this documentary premiered, he aired it at South by Southwest, and it got like really good reviews, but it like, even though it wasn't intended to, it made David Dobrik come off really, really bad. The film has never been released to the public, and I was on the edge of my seat years ago, like waiting for this, because I was a huge Vlog Squad fan. And like when the Jeff Wittick stuff first happened, like you really didn't know how to feel about it, because there's so many, like there's just so much to it. But now Casey Neistat like he did a podcast that came out this week where he like discussed the documentary. Do you want to watch that real quick?
The documentary about David Dobrik. I mean, you put so much work into that. You hired translators to interview his parents. You went back to Illinois. You've interviewed his high school teachers, his coaches. I mean, you just put so much work into that documentary. But I thought it was also fascinating. I found this quote where you said, I don't think that documentary will ever see the light of day, at least not on your YouTube channel.
It's probably the most conflicted thing in my career that I've ever experienced, and I remain wildly conflicted about it to this day. The short of what the movie is, it's a feature-length documentary. It's a very formal documentary. It's not a YouTube video. And I wanted to tell the story of what it means to become the biggest YouTuber in the world. And I met David Dobrik when he was really starting out on YouTube, and I think that to this day, notwithstanding the problematic stuff, the problematic content that he made, I think he is the greatest comedian that YouTube has ever had. Everything about his videos are unique, and to this day, nothing's even come close to replicating them. And I started documenting him and his growth. And sure enough, like, you know, in the time that I started documenting him, he became like one of the biggest celebrities YouTube had ever seen. And I was so excited to make that movie. You know, the ugly stuff and the good stuff. And then as we were finishing that project, two really cataclysmic things happened. The short of it is, you know, there was a bad guy that was platformed by David unknowingly. That bad guy did really bad things, and David dealt with it very poorly. You know, there were a lot of opportunities for him to really, I think, demonstrate a level of understanding and stuff like that. And I don't know the reason why, too young or hubris or myriad other factors, but he didn't do a good job of representing himself. At the same time, too, one of the cast members in his videos was injured, right to the, you know, almost to death, was almost killed while shooting a stunt. So David was facing all this at the same time, and this is while I'm making my documentary. So that's what the story was. And I finished it because I can't not finish something. I think it's important to finish it. And we premiered it at South by Southwest Film Festival, and there was some talk of selling it to a proper distributor, but I didn't have a lot of enthusiasm for it, and I still don't know why I don't put it out there. I think it's because maybe some part of me, as much as I'm ashamed to admit it, is because I still like very deeply love and care for David, and maybe it's about protecting him from himself. But I also feel responsibility to the victim, who, you know, I spoke with off the record and showed her the movie before a single person saw it to get her blessing and understanding. And I think that she's very generous in letting me share her story, and I didn't follow through with that. So I'm extremely conflicted about it.
What's your relationship like with David Dobrik now?
It's non-existent. You know, I think that, you know, when the movie was done, I showed it to him. He's not happy with it. And that's it. You know, I made it clear to him that, like, if he ever wants to reach out, I'm still the same person, and I'm always here and available. But that's kind of where things lie.
Yeah.
So he like didn't release this documentary because
He thinks he was subconsciously like choosing to protect David.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think about him doing that?
So I wish he would release it because I want to see. Honestly, I've never liked David Dobrik anyways. Before, even when he was at his peak, I never liked him. I always thought he was like just obnoxious. I'm going for everybody today.
That's fine.
Like, so, yeah, I never liked David. And then when the Jeff Wittick thing happened, I'm fully team being Jeff. So for that, I'm like, dang, I just wish you would like release it, because like for me, I'm like, I kind of already know that David's a piece of shit, so you know, release it anyways. But by not releasing this documentary, he's protecting David, but he's also protecting Dirty Dom.
Yes. And my thought with it is he is doing that, but it's also like Casey's movie, and like Casey is not the justice system. And like I listened to, you know, like Trisha's take on it, where she was like discussing, I mean, she was really like dragging Casey for like not putting this out, and so was like Adam McIntyre, and I'm like, I feel like y'all just want to watch, you know.
I think that's it, because that's it for me.
I feel that way. Like, I'm like, he needs to release it, and he does, because we need to see. Like, I'm just so curious about it, but like, it's not on Casey to bring those girls justice. It's like the law's job to do that. Yeah. And I feel like, not that David is a good person, and not that David deserves anything, but Casey and David were friends at one point, and in my opinion, there is nothing wrong with like Casey choosing to not get involved, and like choosing not to release it by not getting involved. And like, there's the argument that he could bring justice to the victims of Dirty Dom and things like that, but it's like, it just goes back to, it's not his place.
Yeah, it's not his place. And also, I doubt he has any more evidence than like we would have from watching David's old vlogs that they were in. I doubt there's any more evidence of him, like if he releases this, that it would help any more.
Yeah,
and
know? It's like he could release it. And what I think is interesting about it is like the whole goal with creating the documentary was that he was trying to show how someone could be so successful in like the inner workings of it, and it comes out that it's really dark and really negative, and like there's a lot of really bad things that go into it. And I think you can kind of see like similar things with Mr. Beast. Like, he's the biggest YouTuber in the world, and like the stories that come out of it are just so crazy and sad, and it's like, it just like, it would be interesting to watch it and to know. But I also like, did those victims, like Casey spoke to the victims of Dirty Dom and like said that they were okay with him like putting out the story, but I'm like, maybe they changed their mind, and he doesn't want to say that, and he doesn't want to put it on them for like holding back this big tell-all from the public. Like, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that basically, for me, like myself included, anybody who wants him to release this, it's just because we're nosy. It's just because we want to see it. It's not like,
and I'm not saying I don't want to see it.
Yeah, but I don't think that he necessarily did anything like wrong with not releasing this. It's his decision. He made the movie. So, you know, he can do what he wants with that. No matter how much we want to see it. So if you want to release it, then do it.
But my thing is, they did show the film at South by Southwest, and Spill Sesh, the YouTube channel, she watched it at South by Southwest. And this irked me. She has notes in her notebook, and don't get me wrong, y'all, I'm one of the nosy people too. Like, I get it. But she said that she took notes during the documentary, but she didn't think that much of it whenever it was aired, because she thought it was just going to be released soon. And she didn't read the notes that she wrote. And I'm like, maybe she doesn't have it anymore. But I was cooking. I was like, oh, she's going to read the notes. She's going to read the notes.
Yeah, like, you are Spill Sesh. That is your job. You relay. Yes. You relay the information, and you fumbled the bag on this one.
I remember I was so like closely following this situation as it was happening, because like, when I say I was a David Dobrik fan, like, I was watching every little thing that he put out. I was on the edge of my seat looking for any piece of content coming from any of them. And like, so whenever I heard about this, I was trying to get the stream to South by Southwest, because I guess you can buy like online tickets to view the films. Yeah. And it was on there, and I couldn't figure out how to do it.
Damn it.
I know. But I'm just so curious. But I think that was kind of all that I had on that.
We need someone who is at South by Southwest
to come on the pod.
Yeah, come on the pod, do a spill all, tell all.
Yeah. Or just like give us a little inkling.
Yeah, tell us what's in it. What's so crazy and bad that they don't want to put it out.
I know. So I think that was the general gist of the Casey Neistat thing. Like I said, I feel like the internet's kind of dragging him for bringing it up and talking about it again, but I think they're only doing it because they want to see it. And in reality, like, I don't think Casey's really doing anything wrong. Even him admitting that he's protecting David. If you've ever known or loved someone in your life and they might do the worst thing imaginable in the world, like, you might not want to be the one that takes them down. That's not his, and there's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. Like,
you don't have a close relationship with somebody, it's like you can admit that they did something wrong.
Sympathy is a night.
Yeah. There we go. So
speaking of brat, word of 2024
is brat.
Yeah.
I saw so much, just literally I can see why that it is brat, because it's been everywhere. It's been brat summer. It's been people's like political flags that I passed. They would say like Kamala is brat. My mom was like, in my mom's neighborhood, I was in the car with her. We were passing one of like her neighbors, and they had one of those flags, and it said Kamala is brat.
No, they did not.
They did. And my mom said, what does that mean? And I'm like, it means like brat, like, you know, like she's brat. And she was like, I don't get it. And I was like, it's an album. Like, I was trying to explain it to her, and she didn't get it.
But I feel like the moment that like the Democratic Party took over brat, it died.
Yeah.
I feel like it kind of just became uncool after that, because it's like it's not for the politicians.
No, that's like when I saw, Femininomenon started being used for like videos of like Kamala.
Oh yeah,
you know, for stuff. It'd be like, what we really need is a Femininomenon. And once they were being used for that, it was like I couldn't listen to the song the same anymore. I just pictured clips of Kamala Harris. But I thought that was a funny thing with my mom. It's like passing like Trump 2024, and then it's like Kamala is brat. What does that mean? I'm like, oh God, you wouldn't understand, Mom.
Okay, do you want to get into the Ned's Declassified drama?
Yeah. So this is like, it's tea, but like it's not on the level of like Brie and Zach Bryan. You know what I mean? This is like fun tea, but it's only fun for us, not for them, but you get it.
Okay.
So, Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide. Do you remember that show?
Oh yeah, I loved it.
You loved it? Okay. So, before we get into all of this, I just have to make the statement first that I always was in love with Ned from Ned's Declassified.
I don't know why, but I expected you to say Mo. I don't know why.
What if I was like,
you say Mo? I was like,
what if I was like, I was in love with Coconut Head? No, but I was always in love with Ned from Ned's Declassified. Yeah. And so when they started their podcast, I was like, oh my God, I am watching this. Because
I haven't watched it, but I've wanted to.
Yeah.
The episodes that were catching my eye were the ones where they were really talking about sex. It was like really in the...
Yeah,
I think they were just trying to get it...
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So I was in love with him. When they started the podcast, I was like, oh, we're on this, baby. I'm watching my man, Devin Werkheiser. And even amidst all of the drama, I'm still in love with Devin. So Devin, call me. Rar. Anyways, Christy Carlson Romano, who played Ren on Even Stevens, we know her, and her husband Brendan Rooney own Podco, which is a podcast production company.
Okay.
Christy, she's the queen of the Reboot podcast.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
So Podco hosts shows like Pretty Little Liars. They have a true crime Pretty Little Liars
like started
podcast.
A network for child stars that come back and like talk about like just experience as actors and like just like behind the scenes information.
Yeah, it's called Vulnerable. I used to watch that one. She has the Pretty Little Liars. There's Wizards of Waverly
I was gonna
Pod.
say there was one of them too.
And so then here we are with Ned's Declassified Podcast Survival Guide, where we have the three main characters. We have Ned, Cookie, and Mose back in business for this podcast to help us with our life now. So they started their podcast at the beginning of last year, and they get crazy and definitely overshare on this podcast.
They were like, we're all doing it.
Yeah, so the clip that went super viral was of Lindsay Shaw, who played Mose, and she's talking about how her and Devin gave and received blowjobs. So the link to that is in there if you want to watch.
Okay.
Remember,
what are you gonna ask on this podcast? What are you gonna ask on this public podcast, Lindsay?
Do you remember that?
The first what?
BJ.
I actually do. You really want to talk about this on the pod?
I just wanted to say that I felt like a failure from that point because
he didn't finish.
I know. Yep.
No. Oh.
You didn't. You didn't. After a moment, he just said, "Thanks, okay," and you got up and you went to the bathroom and you did your thing.
No, I don't remember that at all.
Which one do you remember? The one on the couch?
No, I remember the one in the backseat of your car. We can't talk about this on the pod.
Oh,
dude, I can't believe
we got busy in quite a few places. I don't want to.
I can't believe.
That kind of made my skin crawl. There's something
Like,
cringy
we're just
about
thinking about any takes where it was just like Cookie sweating in his little sweatsuit, you know,
and him going,
or something.
No.
Yeah, like while that was going on, there was like Ned and Mose back in some back room getting and receiving BJs. Like, okay. So Lindsay Shaw is the queen of oversharing on this podcast. I did love her for it, but then they started getting canceled for a lot of things.
Okay.
So did you see the Quiet on Set documentary that came out?
I've been trying to watch it and I can't find it anywhere.
Okay.
Where is it?
I think Peacock.
Okay, that's the one I don't have.
I bought Peacock just to watch this documentary.
Okay.
So
I've thought about doing that, so I might do that.
yeah, because it's definitely worth the watch. It was very interesting. So after the release of the Quiet on Set documentary, Devin was canceled for making fun of Drake Bell for his story of abuse as a child actor. Please watch that.
Daniel, we told you never to speak about that. Get back in your hole, Daniel, and give me your holes. Sorry, we shouldn't joke about this. We really shouldn't.
Yeah, this is awful. Why are we doing this?
Because this is about us. Listen, our set was not like that. And no, it's fucking awful. The Drake Bell shit is that's crazy to hear. That is fucking, and that never came out, which is really wild. Oh, so y'all were in on it. Oh, God. Damn.
Wow.
I'm not talking about this anymore.
No.
Talking about this anymore.
No.
Guys, we can't joke like this. Jesus. Guys, we're sometimes humor helps us move through things, you know?
100%.
This gives me drunk guy in his garage thinking nobody can hear him speak energy.
Yeah, because who says that?
I know.
Who is talking about sexual
When did this
abuse?
happen?
This was, I think,
Near the time it came out?
Yeah, like right at the time it came out. And they started getting backlash for it, as you would if you say this. And their apology, people weren't really having it that much. They were saying, we hadn't seen the documentary yet. So we were making jokes like that. But like we hadn't seen it yet. And once we saw it, we can see why people would be mad that we would say that. And it's like, but you know that it's about sexual assault
On a minor.
on a child star who was on a show on your network, and you're still you haven't seen it, but you're still gonna make jokes about it. So
It's it's not that it's excusable if you don't know the person that went through it either, but like y'all probably knew him.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah. And so, yeah, people were not really having their apology. They said it didn't seem genuine and that they were just apologizing because they were being canceled for these comments. After that, their podcast kind of started getting less views and they got less chatter about it. I hadn't seen any clips really anymore past that. Because I used to get clips all the time, of viral things that were going on from the Ned's podcast.
Yeah, there was a minute where I saw them all the time.
Yeah, and so they dwindled down after that controversy. They have always made it known on their podcast that they would love to do a reboot of Ned's Declassified.
Oh, they make it known. I don't even watch their podcast, and I know they are down. They are down to do it again.
I swear to God, they
Someone
talk
give
about
them
it
a job.
every podcast, every TikTok,
Someone give them a job.
Yeah, someone, please. So, with the recent release of the Wizards of Waverly Place reboot,
Which I haven't watched.
I haven't either. But with that, there's been some controversy from Lindsay Shaw.
Why do I not like her right now? You're just not cut out for this.
So she made a TikTok about how she said, can somebody please explain to me how Spider-Man can be remade 450,700,000 times?
A great movie.
Yeah, and Wizards of Waverly Place got a reboot, but Ned's can't even get a crappy TV movie.
You know, this would, and this is just my opinion as a professional, maybe if you didn't go online
Yes.
and talk about how you were just giving blowjobs left and right.
Behind the scenes, baby.
Yeah, all the time, as children, and really making your network seem so unserious, and making fun of people on your network that had serious abuse happen to them, and you didn't air out every little thought that comes to your head on your podcast. People might want to work
Exactly. And so they're getting backlash currently for,
because they're killing the brand of Ned's Declassified.
yes, it's ruining everyone's childhood.
Yes.
Because like I said, we're picturing scenes where Ned and Mose aren't in the scene, and we're what was going on? Where were they right now?
Yeah.
So they're getting backlash currently for Lindsay Shaw's TikTok of that. People are saying that she's wild for comparing her kids show from the year 2004 to one of the most iconic comic book adapted movies ever.
Yeah.
And making
even
that
her
comparison.
making those comments about Spider-Man, it's you were not Spider-Man, you were Mo, and
Mose. You keep calling her Mo.
I don't think it's Mo's.
It's MOCE.
Oh.
Welcome to Mo's.
That's what I thought you were saying. Like, I was like, her name is Mo. I don't know what she's talking about. Regardless, Lindsay Shaw. I just I don't know where she has the nerve.
Yeah.
You're just not cut out for this, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then there's more drama with the dwindling of their views. Podco has dropped Ned's Declassified Podcast Survival Guide. Now they're on their own.
They can't have that many clients.
No. I think they're going through something too, possibly.
Okay. I'm like, what the heck?
So yeah, now they're dropped from Podco. They're on their own. We may or may not continue getting Ned's Declassified Podcast Survival Guide independently. But people think that possibly they could have been dropped because Christy, Carlson Romano, and Lindsay may have some beef or something
I could
within
see
themselves.
Lindsay being a little problematic.
She's very hard to get along with, apparently. Just knowing she used to be friends with Alexa Nicholas from Zoe 101. Her and Lindsay used to be friends, and they had a big falling out. There was drama with that this year as well that went on. So we just find out through a lot of these things that Lindsay is problematic. She also has a history.
Yeah, it's definitely a recurring thing.
Yeah, she also has a history and has been open with the fact that she was a drug addict. And she's sober from that now. But along with it, she has, I think, other mental issues, maybe bipolar or something, I believe is what she said. So I could see her kind of having a hard time getting along with some people, being a little strong.
Sad,
but yeah, so that's the tea on that. Ned's Declassified Podcast Survival Guide.
You don't ever hear anything like that from the Wizards podcast. It's you don't have to be so gruesome and gross. I don't know.
When it's not the topic of your podcast. Your
The
podcast
jokes-
is to talk about your childhood show.
Yeah, and it's also the jokes would be funnier if they were in the whole less is more thing.
Yeah.
If you casually made jokes about it and hinted that things happen behind the scenes, that would almost be better and probably keep people's interest longer.
They would be like, oh my God, I wonder what was going on. And I wonder this and that.
But I remember whenever they made news for it, because it was they were being so graphic about, or she was specifically being so graphic about it, and it's just I remember she's about giving multiple people blowjobs, if I remember correctly.
She was just saying she ran through a lot of people before she got to Devin.
Oh, I know. It's
and,
and no judgment, but
no, but it's just funny given the context that this is Mo's from Ned's Declassified, and that they're on a show recapping Ned's Declassified.
Yeah.
So,
and if I were their publicist or something, which I've always thought I might want to do that one day, is be a publicist for a celebrity.
You'd be like, listen, Lindsay,
maybe take a beat.
Yeah.
Take a beat.
Maybe calm down a little.
Take a little internet break for a couple months, and let's revisit in January 2025.
Maybe take a Chappel Roan, focus on your mental health.
I'm gonna serve exactly what you want. Is that all the Ned's Declassified tea?
Yeah.
They have had a show in 20 years, but
yeah. What will they do now that their podcast is done? Who knows? We'll see. I'm sure we'll keep you updated.
One news headline-ish thing that I saw, heard, listened to, put together for you. Are you into Jessica Simpson? Do you keep up with her?
I don't.
Well, she's kind of big. She's had some negative publicity where she's came out and it almost seems like she might be on drugs or drunk or there's something going on. Well, she released a whole book a few years back about her abusive relationships and things, and John Mayer was discussed in the book. The only news I had was that she's been seen out in public without her wedding ring on.
Who was she married to?
I forget his name, but she started following John Mayer on Instagram again and liking his.
Not John Mayer.
They might be slow dancing in a burning room.
It's gonna burn.
But yeah, I just hope she stays safe. But
stay safe out there.
I'll have to look up the details of that book because I don't remember. I remember I watched or I listened to a summary of it whenever it first came out, but I never read it. I'm not a reader, so I think that's all of the hot topics that we had. What's your hot take for this week?
Okay, mine involves Ariana Grande.
Okay,
because I've been seeing a lot about her with the Wicked stuff, which I'm super excited to see.
I remember you would go see it whenever it was in Charlotte.
Yeah, I did. I like Wicked.
You liked Wicked before Ariana Grande was in Wicked.
Yeah, and I have always known that Ariana Grande loved Glinda and wanted to play Glinda one day. So I'm not worried about her playing Glinda because I think she's gonna do her justice because she genuinely loves this character and has always wanted to play her. Ever since I was 15 and first figured out who Ariana Grande was, her footprint on the internet, you can see back to those days that she wanted to be Glinda. So I'm excited. I know, but I know she's gonna slay that. We're here for it. But my hot take on Ariana Grande is that it's so random, but I'm just thinking about it because of all this Wicked stuff that's happening, is that I don't like her, and then I don't I don't know how. Why? own one tonight. Like, I'm coming for.
I don't like her.
I'm coming for everybody today.
What else did you have for that?
Okay. My hot take is not just that I don't like Ariana Grande. My hot take on Ariana Grande is that she gets on my nerves because she has perfect pitch, okay? I'm not coming for her voice. She can sing. She can sing anything. She's probably one of the best singers that I listen to. She gets on my nerves because I never know what the bitch is saying. Like with her songs, she needs to enunciate. She's like, with that one song, she's like, hey, mommy,
yeah.
And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you're hitting all the notes, but I don't know what you're talking about, and I don't know what you're saying.
Tate McRae does it too.
Yeah, Christina Aguilera too. She's
okay.
like,
Tate McRae, it's okay. I'm okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. Like, I hate it. But Ariana Grande specifically because, like,
she's so good.
You're
She
so
could.
good. Like, you can hit every note perfectly on pitch with nothing wrong and no errors. Like, just pronunciate your words.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's just my little hot take on Ariana Grande.
My hot take is that Charli XCX is overrated.
I think so, too.
I like her album, Brat, Year of the Word. Wait, Year of the Word?
Word of the year.
Yeah. It's been a long day.
What year is it? Brat.
Yeah. Yes. I love that album, and like whenever me and you are going out for a girls' night, we turn on Brat. Do I listen to it any other time? It 360. Like I just don't. Like every once in a while, it will randomly come on. I'm like, that's fine. But like, do I go out of my way to listen to it ever? Nope.
Well, see, even in my height of the Brat album, I only liked 3 songs.
Yeah, and
literally.
like, I'm like bumming that like twice a day.
Yeah,
like 2 songs, maybe twice a day. Even in the peak of it, like I wasn't like whenever I like a Taylor Swift song all day.
Yeah, the
like,
same song over and over on repeat.
Even though I've heard All Too Well, the 10-minute version, 100 times, the autumn leaves are falling down like pieces into place right now. So
yes.
I have that music, and it is on a loop.
Yes. All right, so that's it. Make sure to tune in next week for the Grammys. We'll be talking about the Grammy nominations and whatever else unfolds through the next week.
I'm interested to see if Zach like publicly addresses any of the stuff with Brie, because I'm gonna have to watch that episode again, like with more time to think about it and process it, because that
and maybe we'll have more commentary next week on that too.
I know that we will. I follow her way too close.
Yeah.
And I always have. So I'm like, this is just kind of crazy, but I'm glad that she got it all out there.
Yeah. And
I'm so glad we were able to talk about it today too. Like,
me too.
I've been wanting to know what was going to happen.
Yeah. So we'll talk about all that next week, and we put out new episodes every Monday.
We're working to get our weekly schedule put together, but we're trying to get like ahead almost. But we also like want our thing to be that we like discuss what the other podcasts discuss about hot topics.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds so weird, but like, you have your hot topics and everybody knows what's going on, but like, don't you want to hear what other people think, and then you want to hear what other people think of
about
what those other people think? Because that's what I do. Like,
yeah.
Whenever like and I know that we've kind of already tried to end the podcast and we're still talking, but whenever Trish and Oscar talk about BFFs and like drama with Rihanna in them, it's my favorite episodes, because I'm like, I get to hear my favorite people's take on my other favorite people. And like, so that's the feeling that I want us to give people, is like discussing things that you're actually like interested in and like relevant to.
Yeah. So we will catch you guys next week.
Yeah.
We put out new videos every week.
And we've been uploading TikToks. So follow us on @GlitterGelPenPod on TikTok.
Yeah. All the social media @GlitterGelPenPod.
And rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
TTYL.
Bye.